I know it's a funny thing. I never felt that I loved myself as I was for as lot far back as I can remember. A lot of which came from my mom, my granny, the women of my family who all had body issues and body dysmorphia, I would say to that point. Nothing diagnosed, but just that level of I look fat even though I'm thin and thin is best, etc. But that was one of the things, and I just always felt like not good in my body, and I felt like even when I started college, and I could have been quote unquote normal and whatever, cute, like all my limbs and everything, and I just took me like an hour to leave my flat because I didn't want anyone to look at me and judge me badly. I didn't
Mm.
really get a diagnosis until I was about 23. So that's when I fell off my bike and I thought, oh, I've just sprained my leg. And then I went into work and carried heavy boxes and then was in massive pain, but just thought that was normal. So then when, then they found a tumor in my knee. And that was sh shocking because I'd never been to a hospital before. I never, I'd never, not that I could remember, I never needed any kind of help but I had this awful tumor in my knee and was told not to go and do anything silly and break it like I did. And I went off and broke it. Well, I have to say that over the years when the tumor kept coming back again and again, the the diagnosis got more serious as time went by. I think initially I didn't really take it in. I was kind of in denial. I carried on partying and dancing and working and just carrying on as usual and just kind of feeling low key bad, like low key in pain, but not thinking that just wanted to get on with life and not think about it. And then it gradually got more and more painful as time went by. And my sense of self gradually got like I kind of I got more and more disabled, but didn't want to admit it. So I think after like the third operation, it got to the point where I couldn't bend my leg anymore. And that made me very much aware that I had limitations in my body and that I was kind of like being in pain all the time makes you very cranky for a start. And secondly, makes you feel like you can't, there's just so much you cannot do in life. And that like included traveling and sitting normally and just not being in pain would have been nice. So yeah, it does start to form your sense of self as kind of heavy and difficult and just life is hard. That's what it felt like from that time on when I first ever got diagnosed with it. So yeah, and then of course it came to the point where the C word came in and I was actually had cancer and had to have chemotherapy. And boy, does that change your self-image, because you end up bald as a coot and it's not even PC anymore. What is a coot? That's a bird, right? So I was bald as a coot and had to the point of like you have no eyebrows, no eyelashes, no nothing. And yeah, and as I say, there was a point in the middle of all of that where I thought I still love myself. I still like myself despite looking extremely weird. Epiphany moment because I'd never thought that about myself. And just over time, it started to kind of weirdly chip away at my sense of like I didn't know who I was anymore, which was kind of good because I had to recreate myself, my own image, like I had to become something more than I was, like no longer could I rely on being, just the average body or I couldn't rely on hiding or just like slipping into the crowd. So now time goes by and eventually I lose my leg. So that weirdly making me stand out so much and making me kind of freaky made me want to love myself because like what else was I going to do? People are going to look at me anyway. I might as well own it, you know. But all of the apparel that I'd put on myself, like, oh, my hair has to be just so, otherwise, I'll look awful. I look like, people will judge me, or my makeup has to be just so. And suddenly all that's gone. It's just stripped away. And God, I had like bleeding mouth ulcers and like pale skin because I had just like, I looked like a vampire with no hair. And like every day I looked at myself like, here we go. But I'd put on a headscarf. I'd draw my eyebrows on again, put on eyeliner if I wanted to, and I'd get that kind of mojo going. And I don't know, I just felt like there was a base now of goodness to work with. There was that little bit And yeah, over time, I just kind of gradually opened that little ray of light a little bit more. Corny as it sounds, it's how it is. So how would I tell someone who feels insecure in their body, how to, like, someone who kind of, I don't want to say hates themselves, but takes a long time to get out of the house because they just feel bad in their bodies. How would I recommend? I mean, to reconnect to your body, I personally would recommend, this is going to sound cheesy, I don't care. I would recommend meditation and or dancing and or yoga. But and journaling. I mean, there are multiple ways people can come at this, whatever feels right for them, but something that takes you out of the external blah blah blah, like what should I be, what do people think, and who am I, to like, I know who I am, like I remember, it's inside me, nobody can take that away from me. I am strong, and that's what makes me beautiful, like the strength and the kind of a surety, like the awareness that the thing that makes you you is never going to be gone. Like, as I say, I realized that even when I was kind of emaciated and bald during chemotherapy, or when I got my leg amputated. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a overnight success. I mean, obviously it took me time to build up that confidence again, but essentially there was always that sense of, I'm in there, like I'm okay, I know I'm going to be okay. And yeah, like, I'm not perfect. I still have existential crises. I have nights when I lie awake wondering, what's the point? But the thing is, that's few and far between, and you can work on every day telling yourself that it's okay. That despite all that, despite those voices in your head, that's not the truth. Like, they're not actually true. They're not true. They're just that. They are just voices, and they'll go again. And ultimately, you're still you. So just hold on to that. It's weird how stuff just falls away and you don't die of shock at seeing that. I mean, you think that you're going to be rejected by everyone, and turns out kind of the opposite is true, because you just keep going. I mean, again, black humor insert here. My friends were coming to see me on the chemo ward to have a laugh, because I would laugh about a lot of things, and black humor is extremely useful that way. So thinking for me is quite counterproductive. It goes round and round and round, especially if I just in my head and I keep going and I get stuck in a loop. But if I just take a pen, start to write it down, absolutely, like, it doesn't even have to be able to be legible. You don't need to be able to read it later. Just vomit it on the page. Just put out all your thoughts, like, God, I hate myself today. My hair is disgusting. Why is it so greasy? I need to wash it. What? I don't want to wash it. I'm really tired. Oh, for God's sake. Oh my God, I hate everyone. This world is just, and just keep going for a few pages. And I swear, every time I've done this, it turns from kind of hateful language, or it turns from criticism and pain into, hello, I love you. Like, there's this tiny voice that appears through your pen and goes, you're okay, actually. You're not that bad. And that's what journaling does for me. It's like excavating the kind of the hope, excavating the good stuff that's underneath all that crap that's been building up over. The thing is, I used to just view dancing, when I was in a quite sort of sad body image phase, where I thought that exercise had to be only to make yourself look better or look thinner, or there's nothing wrong with that per se, but if that's your only goal with the exercise, it gets very tedious after a while. Like, oh, I'm so bored of this. I still don't look any different. Why can't I see any six pack yet, eh? I'm gonna give up and eat chocolate. So that was my, for a very long time, that was my attitude. But in the last few years, I just got to a point where I was like, that does not motivate me at all. And what does motivate me is feeling good. And like, oh gosh, why are all the songs in my head today? I'm just James Brown. So it just, yes, it brings me back to myself. And there's that feeling of like, it's not, the point is not to look better or to be sculpted or toned. That might be a byproduct, sure, whatever. But the point is to reconnect to yourself and feel like, hey, you know what my body can do, not as opposed to what it can't do. There's a hell of a lot it can still do. And sometimes I personally, as a one-legged woman, I can make more interesting shapes than some people, or just like something different. Yeah, I found that actually one of the things that really got me into the mindset that helps is movement medicine. It's not a thing that I'm personally promoting or anything. It's just a movement that's been out there a long time, and somatic movement also. It just means that you're doing what your body wants to do as opposed to enforcing something on it that it might not. So instead of being like, I'm going to pump it today, like you just go, ooh, what way would my arm like to move right now? Ooh, that feels quite nice. Ooh, maybe my head will go, ooh, that's nice too. And it's just a kind of a feeling from within, like, oh, it feels yummy, as one of my, mentors once said, like, does that feel yummy? If it doesn't, maybe don't do it. And so it's almost like motivation precedes, like action precedes motivation in that case. And in me, that I find that's extremely important, because the more I think like I should be doing something, then I'm like, no, like I become my own worst, like, don't tell me what to do, even though it's just myself. But yeah, the dance becomes its own healer within that little kind of little bubble of time that you take, even if it's like, I don't know, 10-20 minutes. When did I start meditation, Jeannie Mac? It's been a number of years now, and I am far from like an expert, or I don't know how you become an expert. I'm not a yogi. I'm not a In fact, a lot of the time, my 2 minutes is my all I can manage. Like, get out of bed, do 2 minutes, fine. But to be honest, those 2 minutes are key, because they change me from going, oh God, I don't want to get up, I don't want to do the dishes, I don't want to do this, to like, does this, I kind of imagine myself feeling better, and then it kind of helps, and even just someone's calm voice. I'm not any good at sitting down and meditating with nobody telling me what to do. I can't just sit there and breathe. I'm not good at that. So like, it doesn't need to be anything fancy. I've got an app. I'm not going to sell an app. I'll just say any bloody app will do, free ideally. The thing is, boy, does listening hurt initially. Like, you don't want to hear yourself. If you've been through a lot of pain emotionally, physically, which many people have a lot of trauma. It's not, you don't want, like, it's not easy. It's not easy to stop and hear yourself, because yourself is crying, it's yourself is shouting, or yourself is wailing at you to bloody well stop, but you don't want to, because then you have to hear it, right? And also, I have to caveat, I did a lot of therapy. Like, I've done a hell of a lot of counseling. And that was, I was going to say, lucky me, I got it for free with chemotherapy. But hopefully you can access it in some way as well. I'm sure there are many ways these days that are possible to access. But give or take therapy, the fact of stopping and listening to yourself, and not, as you say, running away from your own mind, because that mind will just follow you on and on and on. None of the parts of you actually are bad. They just want out, just want. And then they essentially just chill the fuck out, woman. That's what they want. Mm-hmm. Social media it's a funny one. It's a big question, because for me, it's been both a burden and a boon. I mean, it's got its advantages and disadvantages. On the one hand, for a very long time as a young adult, I used it as a way of escaping from out of myself, and also feeling extremely like inferior to everyone else on there, like, oh, she's more beautiful, she's more successful, they're all this, they're that, they're on holiday, I'm shit, I have no money. Like, all of these things, I compared my body to everyone else's, and I wasn't fit enough, I wasn't tall enough, I wasn't strong enough, whatever. All of those things are true, and media can do that. However, there's also the fact that I had amputation, and if I had not lived in this current time, I wouldn't have seen images online of other amputees living life, or just being models, even with the level of amputation I had, and being proud of themselves, and just wonderful things like that inspired me, and thus inspired me to want to help people through the same medium. And I think also you can be very careful with social media, especially if you're very sensitive like I am. Many people, they soak it up, and then they go off and think like, God, I cannot compare. No, you can't, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't compare, because you are you, and therefore you're unique, and no one else can be like you. Also, you only ever see everyone else's Photoshopped life, right? It's never true. I'm trying to wrap that up into a nice little bundle. No, I would say my biggest thoughts on that are, try and focus your energy to what you can do, much more so than what you may look like to anybody else. And also just, I would say, key thing is find what you love. Like, doesn't have to be. For me, yeah, sure, it's dancing, but for you, it might be digging a hole out in the garden, putting your hands in it, random, um, collecting pebbles, origami. Why do I have all these nerdy things? Yeah, editing software online, like just whatever, just picking petals and making them, drawing them, making pictures out of flowers. Yeah, just yeah, find your thing. Singing, and baking, eating the stuff that you bake, also good. But yeah, just I don't know, just get that thing, and whatever it is that makes your brain stop for a minute and your heart go woohoo, and do that thing. Yeah. I think that's my basic thoughts on the day.